During rush hour, have you ever been stuck on public transportation with a lot of other people, only to be hit by the strong smell of sweat from the person in front of you? This kind of situation can be uncomfortable and annoying, especially if the other person is a loud, annoying talker on the phone all the time. When someone tries to tell him what's wrong, he snaps back rudely and keeps acting up. We've all been through situations every day where rude and annoying people were the norm. They're in restaurants, on buses and trains, in the streets, at work, in traffic, and even in our own homes. There are annoying people like this from all over the world and all walks of life. Some people don't seem to know simple social rules, while others know them but choose to ignore them. So, what should we do with these kinds of people? Stoic thinkers from long ago have a lot to teach us. They often talked about how to deal with difficult people, like family members who betray you, parents who don't care about you, rude people in public places, and people who don't have manners or clean up after themselves in public areas. How should we act around annoying riders who make a lot of noise and smell bad, annoying co-workers, or even mean or narcissistic people we meet? This video goes into great detail about how to deal with tough people in your life, including those who don't take care of themselves, from a Stoic philosophical point of view, adding interesting personal stories along the way. After being kicked out of Rome, Epictetus moved to Nicopolis, a city in northern Greece, and stayed there for good. In Nicopolis, he opened a school of thought and had the chance to help a young man named Arian grow as a person. Arian made sure that Epictetus's important lessons would be remembered for years to come by collecting all of his classes and writing a summary of the most important things his teacher taught. One of these lessons talks about bathing, which was an important part of Roman life. Public baths were very important in the Roman Empire. The Greeks brought the swimming culture to the rest of the Mediterranean, where it spread. Bathing wasn't just a way to stay clean, it was also a way to meet new people. Romans went to the public baths not only to clean up, but also to meet new people, ask others to social events, and, for politicians, get support from the people. Rich people who could afford their own bathhouses still liked going to public bathhouses because of the social atmosphere. These places were good for getting exercise, meeting new people, relaxing, and having fun. Nevertheless, as one might expect, the variety of people in busy public places always led to bad behavior. Some bathers were careless and splashed water on other people, stole things, or acted like they owned the place. When you read Stoic writings, you learn that in many ways people haven't changed much over time, and that difficult people have always been around. So what did Epictetus say about how to deal with the troublemakers of his time? Epictetus told his students to think about what their daily routines were really about. There are different aspects to each setting, like going to a public bathhouse. When going to these places, you should be ready for bad things to happen, like people splashing water, chaos, rude people talking, yelling, intimidating behavior, or other problems. When these natural conditions of the world happen, we won't be surprised. We will understand and accept them. What does Epictetus say about this? He says that we shouldn't just focus on the action itself, like taking a bath, but on staying calm and in control when bad things happen. He told her, "You will behave better if you tell yourself, 'Now I'm going to take a bath,' keeping in mind peace and harmony with nature." And it's the same for everything else. So if something comes up during the bath, you'll be ready to think, "My goal wasn't just to bathe, it was to keep my mind in tune with nature, and I will fail at this if I get upset about what happens." Using public transportation can also be looked at from a Stoic point of view. Think about what this action is really about. Do we always expect public transportation to be quiet, comfortable, full of nice people, and always on time? No, of course not. Anyone who has used this way of transportation knows that the good times aren't the whole experience. There may be people who are loud, have bad smells, or are trying to avoid paying their fare, which can be upsetting. So, how would a Stoic use public transportation based on what Epictetus said? There are two parts to the answer. First, think about the nature of the public transportation trip before you leave. Next, keep your inner peace and calm in mind while you're on the trip. When getting on a bus, be ready for delays. When getting on a train, be ready to deal with rude customers and grumpy staff. People who follow Stoicism and think of Marcus Aurelius as one of the great Roman rulers had to deal with many different kinds of people every day, even the most difficult ones. He had to deal with people who were cocky, demanding, unfair and dishonest. There were a lot of duties and stresses that came with being emperor. Imagine that you are the most important person in the world at the time. Everyone is jealous of you, and many people want to take your place. Your decisions and leadership affect an entire kingdom. Marcus Aurelius, who wanted to be wise and calm inside, did write in his personal book to think about different parts of life and how people act. In his thoughts, he talked about things like being strong in tough times, the point of life, human nature, and of course how hard it is to deal with difficult people. In the example given, Marcus Aurelius shows how to deal with something as common and unpleasant as body odor from a Stoic point of view. He tells us not to get angry, but to use our intelligence and compassion to understand what's going on and, if possible, help the other person see what's wrong. This shows a sensible and understanding way of following Stoic lessons, which say to pay attention to what we can change, our actions and reactions, and accept or understand what we can't change, other people's behavior. Epictetus's lessons are useful again when it comes to dealing with bad behavior from close people, like parents. He says to look at tough events from a different point of view and try to find the handle we can carry, or the view that will help us deal with them in a healthy and helpful way, rather than dwelling on the bad things about the relationship or the person. This usually means focusing on the good things. Unfortunately, as you correctly pointed out, some people are so toxic that the relationship can't last, even if both people try to see the bright side. To protect one's health, it may be necessary to set clear limits or even stay away from the person in question. Stoics believed that inner peace and knowledge were very important, and they knew that sometimes the smartest thing to do was to stay away from bad influences. To keep this theme going, it's important to remember that Stoic lessons don't tell us to be passive or take wrongs without questioning them. Following our beliefs and principles is important, and we should always try to keep our inner peace and see things and people around us in the right way. But they also knew that there are times when things are too much to handle, and leaving is the smartest and best thing to do. That we have a choice to stay or leave is very important. This choice should be based on a careful and logical analysis of the situation, not on our feelings. With your family member, it looks like you made a conscious decision to step away after a long time of being tolerant and patient. This is in line with what the Stoics taught. Stoics don't tell us to be quiet or put up with being mistreated forever. In its place, they teach us to be aware of what we can control and to follow our ideals and principles, even if that means making hard choices, like separating from a family member. In his writings and talks, Epictetus stresses how important it is to understand that we have free will and can choose how to react to events. In the excerpt you cited, he talks about how we should not feel stifled or unhappy, even when dealing with difficult people, because we have the power to choose. We can either stay and put up with it, or we can leave. It wasn't easy for you to decide to stay away from a bad family member, but it showed that you respected yourself and knew your worth. Stoic ideas like focusing on what you can control, acting in line with your values, and seeking peace, no matter what happened outside your control, were also put into practice. The Stoic way you described for dealing with difficult people and the urge to get even is deep. and is a reflection of timeless knowledge. Before we move on, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot and costs you nothing. Never miss out on any of our videos about Stoicism and the way you can master your life. Stoics said that we should pay attention to what we can change, and our actions and responses are definitely things we can change. They also said that ethics was the most important thing, and that we should try to live in harmony with nature and reason. Approaching things with a Stoic mindset can be very freeing when working with difficult people. We can choose not to let anger, resentment, or a need for revenge take over our lives. Instead, we can react with compassion, understanding, and, if necessary, healthy distance. However, this doesn't mean we should put up with abuse or let others hurt us. Instead, we can set clear limits and protect ourselves. But we don't let other people's actions make us lose our peace or do things that are against our ideals and morals. The Stoic view you shared about revenge is a powerful warning that it hurts us more than the person we are trying to punish when we seek revenge. It's a bad thing to do because it keeps us from being good and wise. Stoics say we shouldn't get even with the other person, but instead should forgive them because we deserve peace, not because they deserve it. What I like most about the Stoic view is that we can only hurt ourselves by the decisions and acts we make, not by what other people do. This way of looking at things gives us power and tells us that we can choose how to handle any problem, no matter how tough it is. It can be life-changing to learn and follow Stoic theory, especially when dealing with difficult relationships with other people. Stoics say that we should learn to tell the difference between things we can manage and things we can't. We have power over our feelings, thoughts, and actions, but not over other people's actions and thoughts. We feel free and at peace when we really understand this concept. We are no longer stuck in situations or controlled by other people's actions. Stoic philosophy also stresses how important it is to live in line with our own nature and beliefs, instead of being motivated by the need to be liked or the fear of being turned down. This is very important when working with narcissistic or toxic people, like the family member we just talked about. Stoics would tell us that what other people think of us doesn't make us valuable, and that we should look for approval within ourselves by living by our own ideals and principles. Distinguishing between what we can and cannot control is a good thing to do in this situation. We don't have to try to change the difficult person or get back at them, because that will probably only make things worse. Instead, we can choose how to react and interact with them. We have the power to protect our inner peace, set healthy limits, and choose when and how to take part or not. Amor fati, which means love of fate, is another important Stoic idea. As part of this practice, we should see everything that happens in our lives, even problems and tough people, as a chance to be good and grow. Stoics say that we shouldn't wish things were different. Instead, we should accept and love life as it is, trusting that everything works for the best. Instead of getting angry or wanting to get back at someone, we can choose to live in the moment, be thankful, and follow our values, no matter what other people say or do. If you follow this Stoic way of thinking every day, you can live a life of inner peace, honesty, and knowledge, no matter what happens around you or how other people act.